Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. Welcome back to another training episode of Real Estate Steals, Deals, and Opportunities. And today we're going to talk about timeshare investing. I'm Sharon Restrepo, and I'm down here in South Florida coming to you from 32 West Realty. And we are sharing information with you on a weekly basis. And we hope that you're enjoying what you're learning and you would participate with us at learnfromgreen.com. But today we're going to talk about timeshare investing. It's an exciting topic simply in the name itself because it represents vacationing and everyone wants to get away, right? Like this gentleman here and imagining all the places he can go and what he can do. So the idea of getting a deal on a vacation location gets everyone's attention, and maybe it's gotten yours and you're going to tune in and listen here. So the concept of timeshare investing is that you can afford to own and visit an exotic vacation spot and trade them out. If you own this timeshare spot or week, you're buying some time, then you can maybe travel the world knowing that you've already got a hotel room or a place to stay paid for. And so, it's an exciting concept. So let's look at the pros and cons of investing in timeshares, as well as the many opportunities to own one of these things at a dramatic discount. All right, so timeshares are sold in many locations worldwide. We're going to talk about the conveyance, the time frame, amenities, costs and fees, restrictions, appreciation, locations, and unit size. And, I want to say that timeshares are sold all over the world. We might come back here. I want to hit on all of those points for you, okay? Timeshares are sold in many locations worldwide. They have a reputation for being bad deals based on the way most are marketed and sold. So if you've ever been marketed, to look at the opportunity to buy a timeshare, then you are offered something for free, a meal, a benefit, an amenity, tickets to an attraction, or even the opportunity to stay at the resort overnight so you could actually feel what it would be like to be there. And so when you're given these opportunities to have something for free, in exchange, they want to take some of your time to pitch you on the idea of buying this vacation opportunity, right, called a timeshare. So unfortunately, many timeshares are bought based on impulse decisions made by buyers who are actually on vacation at the same time. So, the reality isn't really there. I don't think any of us would just go, hey, let's buy a timeshare today, when we're in our normal course of things. But on vacation, we do crazy things, like spend a lot of money on that vacation spot because we're enjoying it so much, we want to come back and feel this great feeling over and over and over again, not thinking of the costs or any of the cons to doing it. So because of this, when a timeshare owner chooses to sell, it's usually at a discount. Their competitors are brand new timeshare sales because, people are in the moment of that impulse decision. So when someone goes to sell their timeshare, they're not necessarily selling it to someone in that same environment, right? They're selling it online. They're calling people going, will you buy my timeshare? They're going to many sites online. Well, what is my timeshare worth on the secondary market where people are not making an impulse decision to buy it? And that's why it's usually at a discount, at a dramatic loss to the person who bought it the first time around based on an impulse decision. And that's how timeshare investors are making such great deals. All right, so real estate investors who want to participate in timeshare investing should learn as much as they can about it. Start with a target location and focus in on that location, just like we would in any other type of niche market. We want to zone in on a location and find out how many timeshare hotels or resorts or opportunities are at that location. What's the deal with all of them, and why would I want to own this one or that one? And market online and with direct email campaigns. So just like any other niche, there's a lot of competition. And some niches, there might be less competition than others. I don't know how much competition there is in timeshare investing because a lot of timeshare investors will focus in on an area or, a particular type of timeshare, etc. Excuse me. For me, I would like to have a timeshare in my own backyard because of the fact that I can use the amenities year round, and that's usually one of the benefits. So if I were to purchase a timeshare at a hotel on the beach near me, well, I could use the amenities every single weekend if I wanted to, and that would make sense for me, more so than a timeshare somewhere else, just in my own desires. And so that's one of the benefits to having a timeshare. So now I want to back up, and I want to come back to our list that we talked about and start teaching you a little bit about these bullet points here. So the conveyance of a timeshare, guys, when you're buying a timeshare, you're buying a little bit, you know, a piece of that building, but you're also buying a piece of time. So the conveyance can be a fee simple deed, or it could be actually just buying that time. It's not even a real piece of property that you're buying. So you want to be careful of the conveyance that you're receiving, of what you're actually buying. You know, timeshare contracts can be, you know, written in a way that it's not very clear what you're getting, especially if you're a novice to this. And that's why in most jurisdictions of law, timeshare contracts have a lengthy cancellation period. So in the United States, our timeshare cancellation is anywhere from 3 days to 10 days. And so you'd want to look that up. But now if you are actually vacationing in Mexico or some other country, even though you might be able to use that time in America, you're under many times the jurisdiction of that country. And you might not get a cancellation period. You might be under laws there. And so you always, I don't care where you are in the world, when you're buying a timeshare or are interested in buying one, you want to look at the contract when you're buying that. And this is firsthand buying it, right? Not like secondary, although you want those contracts looked at as well. But the jurisdiction under which that contract or that deed is governed, okay? And you want to have an attorney who's savvy in this type of thing reviewing it for you, and you might even need one in that country if that's where the jurisdiction and the law that governs what you're purchasing is. Okay, so the legality of it crosses the line from simple to a little more complicated depending on where you are. So this is one of the reasons that someone who's buying a timeshare abroad can be taken advantage of, or be, you know, think they're buying something that they're really not. Okay, so the time frame, and what I mean about time frame is that the time you're buying on the calendar. So there are several timeshare organizations that these buildings, these resorts participate in, okay? And they label their weeks, and so they're by color code, or, you know, whatever name they want to give them. And so I've always heard that the red week is the best week to own. These are holidays, vacation times. This is season time, Christmas time, when it's typically cold all over the world, except that this vacation spot is beautifully warm. And so these are the most valuable weeks to own. And so you see how, as you learn a little more about it, you have a lot of questions to ask a seller when they call you and they want to unload their timeshare. You want to know, what type of deed do you have? How do you own this? What's their rights to resell it? What are the deed restrictions? Okay, there's a lot of restrictions because they're not getting a whole property, right? They're getting a piece of everything, a piece of time and a piece of a building. And they might not even necessarily be getting that condo unit. It could be any unit that's available in the building. So you really want to look at all of that and look into it. And so as far as that time frame, you know, the reason that people pay more for those weeks is because those weeks are able to trade more often. So if you want to travel the world, you want to buy these popular weeks because it's more likely that you can trade that week. And then you want to find out, okay, if I trade out my week for my unit at this location because I only want to go there once in my life, twice in my life, right? Now I don't want to go to that location anymore where I own my timeshare. I want to go to other locations. And so the benefit of owning a popular week or a more pricey week is that it's way more likely that you can travel the world during your week of vacation because it's a popular week and a lot of people want to go to the location that you purchased. Okay, so there are going to be timeshare dates and locations that you buy that immediately plummet in value because it's not a hot spot. and or whatever the restrictions are, it's age restricted perhaps. Okay, well, you know, we want as few restrictions as possible if we don't plan to go to that same location every single year. If you think you're going to go there every year and use it the rest of your life, that's a different story. You're not worried about trading it out. But if you're looking for as an investment or even the ability to travel the world, you want to get a popular week in a popular location. Okay, so amenities. Like anything we sell in real estate, right? The more amenities that are offered, the more valuable it is, the more worthwhile, the more people will want to use it, including yourself. So amenities can include the spa, the gym, the golf course, the pools, the beach, the boating, you know, whatever is included at the location that you're looking at. And the biggest thing you guys want to look at when you buy anything is the ability to trade out. I have also, and we get to unit size at the end, so I'll discuss it now, but I have also been taught, I had a relative that owned a lot of timeshare weeks, and I learned a lot from him. But I also learned a lot because I used to have, and I'll talk about this again, but timeshares is one of my keywords in my website. Oh my gosh, I got so many people wanting to sell their timeshare. So the desire to sell these things is out there because of the costs and fees, which we'll talk about next to maintain your timeshare, okay? So the amenities are a driving point, but the unit size as well. So if you are trying to save money by buying an efficiency or a one bedroom, even if it isn't a hot week, guys, and you want to travel abroad, you're going to be limited because abroad they're not going to have that size. So I was taught you want a minimum of 2 bedrooms if you want to really travel the world. So these are all things that no one's going to sit down and tell you at the desk of a timeshare salesman because they want to sell you whatever they can and whatever your budget is. So if your budget limits you from traveling the world, they're not necessarily going to explain that to you. And they might not even know or be that savvy. So you see, it's up to us to become savvy in whatever it is we want to do. And so timeshare investing, that's why that you have the bittersweet, you know, bad reputation of timeshare sales. There's so much information that's very limiting to you once you own it. But, you know, you're being sold on this big picture while you're, you know, on a vacation yourself, looking at the beach and hearing the waves, and you're signing away, right? So we got to like get into the reality of, okay, I'm interested in this, but I'm really going to learn all I can so I can really make a sweet deal. And so by learning that way, you know, instead of spending $20,000 on the wrong thing, you can spend a couple of thousand and get what you want. So unit size, all right? So now costs and fees, guys, a lot of these places will have monthly fees. They'll have annual fees because it's just like owning a condo or an apartment. You're buying a piece of a building in a big building. And so now you're paying into a mutual, fund called an HOA fee, an amenity fee, building fee, timeshare fee, whatever fee they want to call it. But this is maintaining the building. And, I've heard of people buying into a timeshare and the building's already, 80 years old, but now they're just turning it into a timeshare. So the facade looks great. But once they bought it, they were assessed with an $8,000, $18,000, whatever it was, assessment, because now they really needed to go internally and fix up the building. So these are things you really need to look into that you just don't think of, because you think I'm buying a vacation spot. We don't think about all the things behind the scenes. And so we want to find out, well, what I'm buying into, when was the last time this building was renovated? When was the last time, is this a brand new building? Is it an old hotel that went under and now somebody's revitalizing it with the idea of timeshare to bring back life and bring back income and revenue? So we really want to look into that as well. And so you can ask to see the books, just like we do on any other transaction of this nature. Okay, so the costs and the fees, the assessments, and all of these things, and their right to increase those fees. So you want to read any documentation such as that, so well, they can only raise my fee 5%, a year, 2% a year, or is there no limit to how much they can raise your fees? So you don't want to put yourself in those positions, but you can imagine how you can find out all this negative stuff, but if you're making an impulse decision, you will compromise your way out of it and sign away to own this timeshare. And we don't want to be in that position. We want to be in the position of the person who's desperate to sell it. We don't want to be the desperate seller. All right, so we want to look into all of those costs and fees because, we don't want to be the one getting our timeshare foreclosed on because we don't want to pay it anymore, or we can't pay it anymore, or we just bought this thing and now we got to assess some amount that, no one ever mentioned. So we want to look into all of that, as well as if you were to buy a timeshare in your own backyard and they're giving you all these amenities you can use anytime. So is that literally and actually true? So even though I can't go into my hotel room, so to speak, or my condo because I don't own that week, right? I only bought 1 week or 2 weeks, but the rest of the year I can go and I can enjoy all the amenities that I'm paying monthly for or annually for because I have bought into this timeshare and this location and this use of these amenities. And so you'll be sold that as a benefit as well. So if that was true, then for me, it's much less expensive for me to buy a timeshare on a beach near me than I would use than for me to buy a beach membership at a hotel near me. And so that's a decision I could make based on the ability to use the amenities. Okay, so restrictions. So again, what are the restrictions? Is all these amenities included except I can't use them on the weeks that I didn't buy? Well, that would be a restriction. Are the restrictions simply pet restrictions? I'm okay with that. What are the restrictions? So I want to look into all these restricting factors, whether it be the use of the timeshare, the building, the amenities, or even the deed restrictions. How am I being limited? Am I able to leave it in my will to my heirs? Am I able to own it in a certain way because it's a fee simple deed and that's the best thing for me? Do I get any write-offs on what I'm doing? Maybe I want to sit down with my CPA and find out how can I own this or write this off in a way that it makes sense, if that's even possible. All right. Appreciation. You would be sold on the fact that your timeshare would appreciate, but in no research that I have ever done do I see timeshares appreciating in value anywhere. I could have missed the article, I could have missed the report, but timeshares are not an appreciating asset as far as my research has, returned the information. And so you don't want to buy this as an investment because you think the asset's going to appreciate. This is something that you buy to make use of it. Oh, and one of the restrictions, guys, can be that you cannot rent out your week. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you don't want that at all because that totally is a loss. So if you are looking to almost look at it as an investment, you want to make sure that you can trade your week and that you can, if you're not going to take a vacation anywhere that week when it comes to using that timeshare week or location, that you can sell your week, rent your week, make money on your week. Okay, and they don't get a cut, or how much is the cut? Can you rent it yourself, or do they have to do everything and you get a little piece? So you want to make sure that restriction right there, that's a very important restriction. Okay, and so back to appreciation, that would of course make your week a little more valuable, but it doesn't make your week go up in value. So you might be able to buy someone's timeshare at a discount for $500 and flip it for $1,500. Okay, and that's just kind of like wholesaling a timeshare week, but it doesn't mean that there's appreciation. Okay, so you can buy it at a discount, but don't expect it to go up in value at all. There are hotels and resorts and buildings all over the place, and they came up with this timeshare idea relatively recently, if you will, in the last 30 plus years, okay, which is recent, as a way to generate more revenue. And so now you could go to a beach along the coast of Mexico, and every single one of these is a timeshare. So if you've got all this supply, because every unit can be sold 52 times, that's a lot of time to sell. And, there's a lot of people in the world. So where there's supply and demand, there seems to be more supply than there is demand. And then with all of the factors that go along with the timeshare, it just doesn't give it the things that it needs, the benefits to it to appreciate. And so we want to keep that in mind too. It's not an appreciating asset. Yes, you can buy it at a discount, so maybe you have some equity and you're not going to lose money when you go to sell it necessarily, but don't expect that you're going to make money on them either. Now, there are timeshare investors that are really savvy, and they have bought weeks and weeks and weeks of timeshares all over the place, and they are trading them, they are renting them, they are making money on them, but they have literally stole these weeks, okay? Those guys are doing well with their timeshare investing, and they're traveling the world while they're doing it. Okay, they've kind of made a lifestyle and a business out of it, and that's absolutely possible. But I do not believe they're appreciating in those assets. They're making money because they got smart, they got educated, and they focused in on marketing to people who want to unload timeshares, and they got good at, you know, buying them at good deals because they understood what they were buying, and they went after, you know, the right locations and the right weeks, okay, and the right size units. And so location is obviously important because, you know, I'm probably going to do a lot better buying a timeshare in Orlando, Florida, than I am in Alaska. I'm just assuming that would be the case, but, you know, I'm just thinking, or Nebraska, you know, where's a place on the map that's not a hot ticket? Right. So I'm going to do better in locations, you know, that are going to be desirable and people are always wanting to go to. You know, everybody in the world wants to go to Disney World. So I might do really well owning a timeshare in Orlando. But for my personal purposes, I'm down here in West Palm Beach. I can't even tell you the last time I went to Orlando. So I would want to invest in something, unless I was stealing it and I could trade my week or what have you. I would really want something in my own backyard. But I happen to live in South Florida, which is a desirable location, so I could get the benefit of owning a timeshare here to use all the amenities and having also a week that I could trade anywhere I wanted because I don't need a vacation in my backyard. Okay, so the location as well as the amenities that come with it, the building age, how new it is, you know, all of that has a factor because even if we were like going, Marriott's really nice, I want to stay at a Marriott, let me see. Well, you know, the Marriott that's going to get my attention online is the one that was just built, right, with all these modern amenities. And so the same thing is going to happen when your vacationers are going online and going, oh, I want to stay here. It's a beautiful building and a beautiful location. So it all matters. It all makes a difference unless, of course, you're paying $500 for the week. But then again, that can still make a difference because if nobody wants your week, then, you know, you have nothing to trade or rent. All right, so I kind of ran through that pretty quickly. It's enough to give you a taste of what timeshares are about, but you really are going to have to do some research if you think this is something you want to look into. And then you can, you know, pick up a timeshare in your favorite golf location, your favorite snorkeling or diving location, or, you know, whatever it is for you. And so I'll share with you a deal that we did, you know, this is one for our books too. So we purchased a studio unit, basically a hotel room at the historic Hollywood Beach Resort. So I bought this at auction. I actually was on site in the lobby of this building. This is the back of the building now. And so behind us, like where you're looking at this, is the actual beach. So this sits on the beach in Hollywood, Florida. It's about 25 minutes south of me. And I was the highest bidder, so I won it at $21,000. So we put it in the hotel program. So at the time, this was run by Ramada Inn, and Ramada Inn had a hotel program. So I'm going to teach you guys this part in case you don't know this, all right? So these were individually owned units, and if you put it, so you could own this unit and live in the building, even though there was hotel rooms around you, but they're individually owned units. They're either owned by the Ramada or the hotel is selling them and putting them in the Ramada program. So to put it into the hotel program, and let me tell you, this room wasn't even 300 square feet, but it was $8,000 to have them redo the hotel room and furnish it for me. You know how much I could have done with $8,000, but you had no choice. You couldn't fix it yourself. That was part of their deal, right? So this is what I'm talking about, being restricted, because you think, oh, just turn it into a hotel room. Well, that would be a couple grand, you know, to carpet paint, put a dresser and a bed and a TV or whatever, some towels. But no, you know, it was $8,000. And so we put it in the hotel program. Okay, so we viewed the intercoastal, which is the other side. We didn't view the pool and the beach. Okay, so we weren't as desirable as a hotel room. But the benefit of this was that we could use this, and I never used it once. All the amenities, never used them once. But when I was there for $21,000, I didn't even know about the hotel program. I just knew I was making a deal. And then I found out about the hotel program. I said, all right, this makes sense. Let's put it in the program and see what happens. We should make all this money according to what they're telling us. But to be honest with you, and I didn't put it in the slide, the way that our room kept being rented is the person that we partnered this with, he said, I actually called him on the way for something else on the way to the auction. And he's like, you're doing what? You're going where? Hey, I would use that all the time for business. I'll put up the money if you'll partner this with me. And I'm like, okay, I mean, what do I've got to lose? So I bid 21, he put up the money, but he knew so much about this building because he was in commercial real estate. He knew what was going on here and everything else. He goes, let's keep it a couple years because XYZ is going on. So it was like this fluke thing that I even got this information. And he said, let's put it in the hotel program. But he was there very often. And what he would do is he would tip the people who took the reservations to keep our room rented. And so by doing that, our dues were like $400 a month to be in this program. So we were able to keep everything paid for. Did we make a fortune having this room? Not at all. But it paid for everything because of that relationship he encouraged at the desk. And it was maybe 2 years later that we sold it for $125,000. So we did well with it. We did get some appreciation, but it wasn't a timeshare. It was a hotel program, and the hotel kept it rented for you. But you could block off dates and come and use it yourself. It didn't matter. And so I'm just sharing this one because it's in a similar line of thinking, and it's something you can do. And we were very fortunate. We bought it at the right time in the right building, not for anything that was on me. So I probably would have just, flipped my contract. I don't even know what I would have done. But fortunately, I called the right person. I knew the right person, right? And I hung in there, and we did very well with it. So anyway, but again, it was one of those things, just like with a timeshare. While I'm there walking through the spa and the gym and around the pool and smelling the salt air, I'm thinking, oh man, I'll come down here all the time. Not once did I go use it. And, but that's the mentality we're in when we're buying a timeshare, because we're sitting abroad, on some lounge chair having a free meal handed to us. Oh, sure, we'll sign my life away. I'm going to use this all the time. And then the reality is we get this annual bill. We have to pay real estate taxes, our portion of real estate taxes. And these are now expenses that we've added to, our current lifestyle that we're not even using anymore. And because we're not focused on it, we're losing our week because we're waiting to the last minute to see if we can, rent it or trade it or whatever, just to not have to not make income on the week that we're not using. So you see how that can all happen. It's just the way life goes on. So buying a timeshare shouldn't be this impulse decision at all, especially when you realize how much there really is to it. You really need to do the research and study it. And so now here's a few helpful tips to those of you who are still interested. There's a ton of information about timeshares available online, a ton, just like any other topic, right? I suggest you go learn it and focus in on areas or locations or weeks or companies or whatever it is that you find interesting to you, and then grow from there. Know the laws that govern the timeshare documents and the unit itself where you want to own. Go ahead, and if this is something you're going to look into, find an attorney that really understands timeshares, the contracts and the laws that you can have ready on standby now. Okay, and be sure that you can sell or rent your time rather than lose it if you don't use it. And again, use an attorney that's familiar. So there's a lot to learn about it. And then what I also want to mention, guys, is when, like I said, when I was marketing, I was not marketing for timeshares, but I was trying to make my phone ring. And when we put the word timeshare just as one of the keywords on our website, it was constant. I got people calling me with timeshares all over the place. And I looked into every one of them because I was excited about owning something, for so little that I could visit. And they would call me with locations I've never heard of. I didn't even know which state it was in. And, but I also got calls with some pretty nice locations. But because I wasn't buying timeshares, or flipping them either. I didn't have buyers ready to go. I needed to be the buyer. So we weren't in a position to spend, whatever kind of money these people really wanted for these timeshares. And so neither did I negotiate them down. The closest I came to buying a timeshare was someone did own a studio on the beach about an hour from me south. And I thought, I could put up a relative there or something like that. Let me look into all of this. But I offered pennies. I want to say I offered him a few $100s. So it wasn't worth them to sell. But I'm not a desperate buyer, so I can throw out those kind of offers, right? And so anyway, but it certainly was surprising and shocking how many people wanted to unload their timeshare. And my site wasn't even focused on timeshares. So if you really wanted to focus on this, I think you could really find yourself the vacation spot or the timeshare that you were looking for, especially if you said this location only. If you really focused in, then you might be able to get what you're looking for. So anyway, I hope that this was enough of information to whet your appetite and learn more about it, and be successful at getting a timeshare for yourself if that's something you're looking into. All right, so if you want to contact me because you're interested in investing in real estate, wholesale real estate in South Florida, then reach out to me at SharonR@32westrealty.com. And if you liked what you learned about timeshare investing today, then learn more about real estate investing and other amazing topics online via live interactive video conference classes at learnfromgreen.com. Check us out. When you increase your knowledge, you increase your income. Thanks for tuning in today, guys.